All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to be looking at how a deep philosophical concept actually fueled one of Indonesia's most explosive digital marketing campaigns. We're talking about the raw power of starting with why, seeing how that idea leaps off a theoretical whiteboard and into massive real-world results. And then we'll walk through a literal step-by-step guide on finding your own personal why.
So here is our game plan for today. First, we'll look at a viral marketing success. Second, the golden circle model itself. Third, discovering your individual why. Fourth, finding a team's why. And finally, we'll look at the book's mixed reception.
Section 1. A viral marketing success. Let's kick things off with a 2021 digital campaign that absolutely took the Indonesian market by storm.
Okay, check out this staggering number. A 38% jump in new users plus an 8% increase in total service orders. Now, this wasn't just some tiny blip on the radar. We're talking about a massive shift in consumer behavior, all driven by a highly strategic digital marketing effort.
An academic paper actually analyzed Gojek's collaboration with the musician Ariel Noah. They were promoting their 1-hour guarantee, and get this, the strategy ultimately won Best Storytelling at the YouTube Works Awards. Why? Because they weren't just hawking a delivery service. They were selling an experience, a solution, and a very specific emotion. Urgency mixed with total trust.
The whole thing pulled in over 8 million views. 8 million! And they did it by effectively communicating a clear narrative instead of just shoving a product in people's faces. The ad built a story around everyday headaches we all instantly recognize. You know, it wasn't just about moving a box from point A to point B. It was really about selling peace of mind and reliability.
Section 2. The Golden Circle Model. Researchers concluded that this massive success wasn't just random luck, but was actually powered by a specific framework known as the Golden Circle.
Basically, the Golden Circle model argues that true, genuine connection only happens when an organization starts by loudly communicating its underlying purpose, its why. They do this way before explaining how they do it or what they're actually selling. Think about it. Most companies do this completely backwards, right? They tell you what they sell, then how they do it, and totally leave out the why. But as this framework suggests, and as Gojek absolutely proved, when you start with the why, you connect with people on a much deeper, almost biological level. It builds trust way before you even mention a product feature.
Section 3. Discovering your individual why. So how do you actually replicate this success for yourself? Well, we turn to the workbook, Find Your Why, written by Simon Sinek, David Mead, and Peter Docker.
The book lays out a super practical 4-step journey. Find a partner, gather and share stories, identify themes, and draft your statement. Now, a huge point they make is that you literally cannot do this alone in a room staring at a blank whiteboard. You have to go through a deeply reflective process to uncover the core experiences that shaped who you are today. Let's break down exactly how they structure this discovery phase.
Step 1 is absolutely crucial. You have to find an objective partner. And no, it cannot be your spouse or your absolute best friend because, let's face it, they share your biases. You need someone to listen to your life stories uninterrupted for hours and spot the hidden, recurring themes. The logic here is that we are all way too close to our own lives to see the big picture. An objective listener, though, they can hear the crazy connection between a random childhood memory and a recent win at work, pulling out those golden threads that point straight to your purpose.
Then, once your partner finds those themes, you boil them down into one single actionable sentence. The formula goes like this: to blank, so that blank. The first blank is your contribution, and the second is your ultimate impact. It sounds deceptively simple, doesn't it? But honestly, it often takes weeks to get it exactly right. Once it clicks, though, it's like a superpower. It becomes this amazing filter for your life and career choices, letting you instantly know which opportunities actually fit your unique puzzle piece.
Section 4. Finding a team's why. Now, applying all this to a massive organization like Gojek takes a slightly different approach.
Finding a purpose for a whole company, what the book calls a tribe, means shifting away from personal childhood histories. Instead, you rely on sharing collective stories about the organization's impact to reach a unified consensus. So rather than digging into personal memories, you're looking for those shining moments when the company was operating at its absolute peak, times when the employees felt incredibly proud. By getting a diverse cross-section of people to share those specific stories, a facilitator can basically extract the true heartbeat of the entire organization.
Section 5. The book's mixed reception. Despite the proven real-world power of the Golden Circle framework, we really need to objectively look at the highly polarizing reception of the Find Your Why workbook itself. If we look at the data from over 13,000 Goodreads ratings, the audience is remarkably split, landing at a modest 3.66 overall average.
For a workbook that spun out of literally one of the most popular TED Talks in history, it's pretty fascinating to see this massive divide between readers who thought it was totally life-changing and those who found it profoundly frustrating.
On one hand, you've got readers like Michael who gave it 5 stars after having profound personal breakthroughs. It really shows that this step-by-step method absolutely can be emotionally transformative. For folks who are willing to put in the time, sit down with a partner, and get vulnerable about sharing their life stories, the framework delivers exactly what it promises: a huge moment of clarity and a deeply rooted sense of purpose.
But then you have a stark contrast with reviewers like Liza. She gave it 1 star, arguing the workbook is basically just filler that constantly repeats the original Start With Why book. A lot of critical readers felt that if you already understood the main idea of the Golden Circle, buying a whole new book just to be told how to rent a quiet room and arrange chairs in a horseshoe felt like a highly commercialized stretch of a very simple concept.
Plus, critics pointed out a huge potential flaw in that tribe approach we talked about. They argue that trying to find a corporate why through a democratic committee actually strips a company of strong visionary leadership. As some reviewers noted, iconic leaders like Steve Jobs didn't ask a room full of people to vote on Apple's purpose. They just dictated it. The real concern here is that using this group method might just spit out a watered-down, compromise-heavy mission statement instead of something sharp and disruptive.
So whether you're completely sold on those structured partner exercises, totally skeptical of the corporate applications, or just marveling at the viral marketing numbers it can pull in, the ultimate question is staring right at us. Are you actually living your true purpose, or are you just going through the motions of someone else's what? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you something powerful to chew on today.